Welcome to our event and live stream Bounce Back Blueprint, Redefining Travel and Hospitality. As we navigate through the reverberations of a post-pandemic world and an economic downturn, it is imperative that we come together to discuss, learn, and adapt to new realities. We are joined by our esteemed industry leaders, very amazing people who are facing the unique challenges in this new era. We have Jamil, Senior Manager Digital and E-commerce of Fiji Airways, which is a national carrier which has recently been recognized as the Skytrax best airline in Australia and the Pacific, and also retained the Skytrax best airline staff in Australia and the Pacific. Fiji Airways has also improved its ranking in the global top 100 airlines, leapfrogging from 36th in 2022 to 15th in 2023. Jamil plays a role, among other key stakeholders, in driving, planning, and implementing digital transformation to accelerate the adoption of next-generation business processes and technologies. We also have Robert, General Manager of CX Brand and Innovation at Nords Collective, a profit-for-purpose, dynamic membership-based, community-focused hospitality group with 8 venues and 2 fitness centers. They currently have 60,000 members and employ over 500 staff and give back approximately $1.8 million annually in community support. They have been on their digital transformation journey since 2018. Brad heads up the digital at Craveable Brands. Craveable Brands are the operator of 4 well-known QSR brands. Craveable support nearly 600 restaurants across Australia with a total workforce of nearly 13,000 people, serving over 1 million Australians of delicious chicken every week. We have Elissa, Account Director, Retail and Consumer Goods Business, and has been at Salesforce for over 5 years, serving customers both in Australia and Singapore. Elissa is passionate about ensuring they are maximizing every opportunity they have in front of their own customers. These industry mavens will share their insights on the current situation, the impact on their respective industries, and the strategies they are implementing for a resilient comeback. Thank you so much for being here with us today. But let's start from Elissa for some industry outlook. Over to you.
Thank you. To be honest, I think we are still bouncing back. There has been so much excitement about the world opening up again after the last 2-3 years of COVID, which in itself has really forced the acceleration of digital for so many people and organisations. But after a heavy reliance on virtual and digital, it is in-person activities that are making a strong comeback. Both domestic and international travel, business and personal travel have really started heating up. And the airport chaos we have seen during school holidays really is proof that we are getting back to pre-2020 travel patterns. I will say, though, that this year has thrown us yet another curveball. The economy hasn't necessarily seen a slump, but we have seen some more conservative spending across the board. There has been huge pressure put on individuals, families and companies with inflation and the 12 mortgage rate rises. Naturally, this influences people's buying behaviour, not only as individuals, but also as professionals. And the words I keep hearing are spend with caution. Now, you're probably asking how this translates to technology. Well, in times of uncertainty or caution, it is more important than ever to differentiate yourself, your offering. How do you do that? Through experience and through service, making sure that your virtual, digital, and in-person experiences are connected. I know we say it repeatedly, but consumers are now used to purchasing conveniently and digitally. So we really need to think about how that can be further enhanced through additional capabilities, things such as generative AI and connected in-store experiences. Thank you so much, Pauline and the AF Digital team, for having me here today. Back to you, Pauline.
What lies ahead? We're navigating a delicate dance between digital and in-person experiences in a cautious economy. and innovative technologies as our guiding stars. Now, it's my pleasure to steer us into the much anticipated panel discussion to glean insights from our industry leaders. So, walk us through how the last 2 years have impacted the aviation industry from shifting to a post pandemic to an economic downturn era. How has it shifted travelers' behavior? Jamil, can we start with you?
Yeah, Pauline, thank you for inviting us. Great to be here. From the time we announced Fiji Airways returned to the skies in October 2021, flying from 1st December 21, we have seen a mix of pent-up demand, plus there's an enduring appeal for Fiji as a preferred destination for tourists, especially out of Australia, New Zealand, and North America. Tourism contributes about 40% to Fiji's GDP. In a recent July interview, Tourism Fiji mentioned that visitor trends instilled great confidence in reaching Fiji, in Fiji's target of attaining 100% sort of pre-pandemic levels of 2024. Also reported that bookings from Australia alone visiting Fiji in 2024 shows significant growth, which was about 34.5% increase compared to pre-pandemic levels. And Fiji, thank God, is also ranked 10 countries for Australian travelers considering a vacation in the next 3 years. So the other thing to facilitate this demand is Fiji Airways has also added destinations into the mix. We resumed flights to Adelaide in July 2022, new direct flights to Vancouver in November 2022, resumed Japan and Hong Kong in April 2023, and announced new direct flights to Canberra from July 2023. I think tomorrow is in the inaugural flight. So with this strong demand, we have seen a general shift towards more online sales, including mobile, towards more self-serve and self-service. Studies also report, I think Statista did the studies, that the travel and tourism market is anticipated to have about 74% of total revenue generated through online sales by 2024. So as an airline, while we remain excited about the next 2 years, we need to modernize and transform to cater for the new traveler.
Wow, Jamil, that's a high flying comeback story. I cannot believe that you said 74% total revenue will be through sales. Digital is really the jet, huh? That will fuel the airlines of today. Also, you're making me want to book a trip to Fiji right now. Hang on.
Yes.
How was it like for the hospitality industry? Maybe let's start with you, Robert.
Pauline, thanks for having me. Great to be here with such an awesome panel today. Look, for the hospitality industry, we definitely felt the pressures that were associated with that, pandemic period, lockdowns and whatnot. But then there was the roller coaster of that post-pandemic era. Hospitality, well, we generally saw across our 8 venues a lift in our share of wallet from Q2 2022, once we sort of got away from that sort of restrictive period, and as the world opened. But it was somewhat short-lived a little bit. I mean, if I look back to the middle of last year to now, we've had about an 85% drop in end of financial year corporate function activity. Last year, it was booming in the middle of the year. A lot of corporates were taking out their teams, not so much this year. We're a membership-based organisation, as you mentioned earlier, Pauline, and that's really helped us a lot in terms of our first-party data strategy, because we can personalise our marketing back out to our membership base and remain front of mind for those customer sets. And when it comes to making a decision on where they're going to spend what is now a smaller share of wallet because of external influences like interest rate rises, we hope to be front of mind. We did, however, on the other hand, not slow down during that period, because from December 2021 to June this year, just last month, we opened 4 new venues. So we really delved into new communities that we hadn't been in before to help continue to grow our footprint. So I guess, for us, we've definitely been on a roller coaster. We've been through that post-pandemic period of everyone being excited to be out of lockdown and ready to socialise with family and friends, to a period now of uncertainty where people are looking at reining in, and we are competing with companies that want that share of entertainment dollar. So we've got to be doing what we can to use our data to ensure that we stay front of mind with those customers.
How is it like for you, Brad? Do you have a similar experience in QSRs for favorable brands?
Yeah, look, QSRs may be slightly different to what the rest of the hospitality industry experience, but I mean, we've certainly seen a lot of change over the past few years. If you think about the rise of food delivery as an example, so there's all the partners, the Uber Eats and the Menu Logs and the DoorDashes of the world that have grown exponentially, and a lot of businesses have potentially survived by the growth of those services. Not just that, but major QSRs are all starting to do their own delivery now, so direct to consumer through their own e-commerce channels. For us, what we call customer convenience, so that includes e-commerce, but also our in-store digital channels, so at-table ordering, kiosks, anything that adds convenience into that ordering process for customers continues to rise and evolve. With that, and importantly to the discussion today, is that the way that organisations in our industry start to manage the consumer has changed significantly over the past few years. If you look at some of the, we'll call it tier one QSRs, loyalty programs have been introduced only in the past 2 years. So it was fairly niche before then, but most of the major players are really getting heavy into the loyalty space now. When you think about even just the consumer, the way that they interact in our industry has changed over the years. For some locations, that can be a good thing. For a lot of locations, that's a bad thing. If you think about the impact on less movement through CBDs, our major metro locations have certainly struggled immensely with less foot traffic going through. Then at the same time, some of those fringe suburbs have, improved with more traffic outside the CBD over time. So certainly a lot of challenges, but also opportunities at the same time.
Robert and Brad's insights underline the role of agility and customer centricity in times of uncertainty. To build on these insights, how pivotal do you think is the role of customer data in reshaping our business models? Let's start with you, Brad.
I think if you ask this question at any point through history, I mean, everyone would always say that the role of customer data is more important than ever, but I think that probably rings true more today than it ever has previously. First of all, I mean, if you look at what's happening in the marketing space, so the deprecation of the cookie is an example. Having rich and expansive both zero and first party data is absolutely crucial in the new marketing world. You need to be able to drive value from your existing customer base. You need to be able to drive more effective and efficient advertising audiences. Those who don't embrace that will be the ones that suffer and they'll be left behind. Data will underpin improvements in the customer experience moving forward as well, particularly online. When I look at most organisations in our industry, they've really only scratched the surface with what they can do with consumer data and how they've used that to enhance the customer experience. So for us, I think there'll be a massive focus moving forward to see how we can drive more personalised experiences both on our websites and apps, but also through some of those in-store convenience channels as well.
Yeah, it's clear that personalization is the key to unlocking value, really, in this data-driven era. Robert, you already mentioned that your first-party data strategy gave you the full confidence to start up 4 new sites. Can you please expound further?
Yeah, look, I guess, we talk about this digital transformation journey, but I always use it synonymously with a data transformation journey because, our organisation as a whole through this journey has completely transformed the way that we use, view, store and treat data in the organisation company-wide. So really, that's the journey we've been on. And at the core of that is this first-party data concept. Being membership-based, we're very fortunate. We've always captured a lot of demographical and transactional data. But this journey for us was about bringing in 2 more key segments of data types, and that was engagement and behavioural data. So now, using our sort of centralised Salesforce CRM in a single source of customer truth, we've been able to create that customer 360 look. So we can truly understand who our customers are. With that data, we've been able to expand the organisation, with 4 new venues. And going into new areas, we've already had data that's allowed us to do that. we initially really went into this journey with three key objectives. The first was to get smarter with our data from an analytics perspective. The second, create that full 360 view, and the third, to be able to create omni-channel, more hyper-personalized marketing journeys using this first-party data. So for us, we've expanded, and we've expanded quite quickly because the time to market has dropped by about 70%. Because we're able to sort of cut and repeat as we open new venues, because we've got such a well-structured back end of our system, we're able to open with more efficiencies, and it's allowed us to be more agile. We can pivot if we need to, and our data, we're still working to ensure that our data is as clean as it possibly can be, but we're really honing in on that first-party data concept, because as Brad mentioned, that cookieless future is coming, and it's so important that organizations have a strong first-party zero and first-party data strategy to ensure that they're set up for success in this competitive environment.
I love that paradigm shift from digital to data transformation, which has really allowed you to shift as well from just increasing engagement, but also the whole business decision making. What about you, Jamil? Jamil, what are your thoughts?
I think Jamil's had a little technical issue.
He's, I really want to hear his thoughts.
What are the issues of modern IT? I think you got kicked off with a forced restart. So we'll go back.
Oh, no.
We'll go back to Jamil later. I'm sure he'll jump back on. But maybe we could focus in terms of the strategies and best practices that have worked well in your organizations in the last couple of years. Can we start with you, Robert?
Yeah, sure. Look, I think for us, one of the key parts of this journey was that right from the beginning, I wanted to make sure that we were taking the entire organization on this journey with us. No matter where you were in the hierarchy, our board of directors, our CEO, customer-facing staff, everybody was going to be affected in one way or another from this transformation journey and changing the way that we were working and treating data. So we wanted to make sure from the beginning we laid out a strong foundation. I introduced a digital transformation vision that actually goes out to all new staff at induction. So they are taken on the why journey, the why we're doing this from the beginning, why we wanted to change the way that a company that was formed in 1955, was doing business and treating data. So I think it's important that organizations really take company-wide approach and make sure that the entire organization is taken on that journey with you. Because if your organization understands the why, then along the way, you're able to pivot and be more agile as an organization. It's easier to move the beast as a whole than in parts. So I think it's really important that companies really ensure that the whole organization feels part of the journey.
Thank you. And Brad?
Yeah, for us, I mean, I'm trying to avoid the phrase single view of customer, but we've built a holistic view of the customer over the past couple of years. And I think it really is so important to the modern organization and really underpins, I think, personalization strategies moving forward. When you look at our business, I mean, we've had disparate loyalty, e-commerce, sales, marketing, voice of customer data sets that we've all started to bring together, and also now overlaid that with interaction data, so how customers engage with our websites and apps. For us, what that means is that we can pivot and start offering much more personalized online experiences moving forward. So when you think about even some of the most basic interactions, if you've had somebody who's come off the back of a negative experience with a particular product and you're trying to sell them the complete opposite of what they want half an hour after they've left you some negative feedback, I mean, that's about the worst possible marketing you could possibly do. Really getting hyper-personalized and presenting the right products, or even using your data to understand what the right upsell and cross-sell products actually are, can start delivering a lot of value for the business. So we're very much focused on that area at the moment, particularly online.
With all the strategies that you shared, first-party data strategy, single view of customer, hyper-personalization, how do you see the role of technology in reshaping the future of the travel and hospitality with everything that we've gone through? Let's start with you, Robert.
Yeah, look, I think that hyper-personalization piece rings true to me, and I echo what Brad said there, because I think for us, last year for us was the umbrella for last year was the year of personalization. And so we really were looking at all of our digital channels and how we can personalize on those channels, but more so, how can we personalize ethically? And so that's a new concept that we're bringing into our organization, and we're using technology to ensure that we're doing that. We're making sure that we're transparent in how we're collecting and using data. And with this cookieless future and privacy law changes, you've got to have the right tech stack in place, such as Salesforce, which we've partnered up with, that will allow a company to hyper-personalize, but hyper-personalize ethically. You've got to have, you've really got to have your data in order. You've got to have a strong first-party data strategy. You've got to have trust and faith in the data being accurate. But it's really important, I think, that companies really take an omni-channel approach. So technology will really allow companies to achieve that.
Brad, what about you?
Customer experience is everything. So, I mean, you can look at it in two ways. The role of technology in all of this can be to drive sales directly, but more importantly, if you're improving the customer experience as a natural outcome of that, you'll see the sales flow. So, again, in our industry, technology can make it quicker for a customer to order. Speed of purchase is everything in our industry. It's called quick service restaurants for a reason. So living up to that quick is imperative. You can make it quicker for a customer to get help. So when they're hitting barriers throughout, technology plays a role in surfacing the right answers for those customers. You can make it easier to simply place the order online through technology. We use technology to help drive experimentation with a menu. So we have quite deep menus and a variety of different products. So how do you actually use technology to present different items to a customer? Then also, how do you really use technology to understand what resonates with a customer? But even beyond all of that, technology can play a major role in also helping the in-store experience. So again, allowing a customer to engage with loyalty in the right way in store is really underpinned by technology. When you think about some of the alternative service channels, drive-through is a huge part of our business. It's the primary channel. Everything in drive-through is about speed. So technology plays a role in that. How do you move cars through a drive-through as quick as possible? Then at the same time, how do you ensure that technology doesn't slow down that speed of service as well through a drive-through? So things like loyalty can actually be a problem in things like drive-through if you're slowing down that service experience. So focusing on the right technology and implementing it in the right way is imperative.
Welcome back, Elisa. I would love to hear your thoughts on this specific question.
Thank you. And naturally, I'm quite biased, of course, but I think Robert and Brad have really highlighted what is important in terms of continuity and connection between teams and customer. One of the main benefits of Salesforce is that we are an enterprise solution, and so we are connecting across various ecosystems, be it commerce, marketing, through to service and sales. So really having all the data and the single platform, to Brad's point before, is really helping organizations scale quickly and giving customers what they need and want immediately. So that's obviously one of the main benefits of the platform.
Thank you for that. So I'm curious, how do you feel? How optimistic do you feel about the next 2 years? And how are you preparing for it? The reason I ask this question is there's just so much uncertainty. It's like we just don't know what's going to happen next. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's start with you, Brad.
Yeah, I'll use the phrase tentatively optimistic. I think inevitably there's some big hurdles coming up in the short term. Consumer confidence is at a low at the moment. There's huge financial challenges coming up for a large number of Australians all around. But I guess in our space, we've kind of got the luxury that consumers need to eat. So people are eating 5 times a day. We can fuel each of those cravings at different parts during the day. For us, we're just going to have to pivot either a little or a lot in terms of how we satisfy those cravings of our fantastic chicken for our customers, but more importantly, stay ahead of the competition. So, competitive environment is hot right now. There's a lot of new players in the industry. There's a lot of movement. But certainly when I look at our space, in the digital space, I'm very optimistic about the Craveable Brands journey in this space, the road ahead, and also how we're going to start building great online experiences for our customers. I'm also very excited about Robert potentially looking at sticking all 4 of our brands in one of his clubs very soon.
Well, you know, I've got to say, your chicken is exceptional. So, you know.
Let's broker that here, Robert. When can we put like Craveable Brands?
We'll see what the group executive chef thinks.
I heard the Salesforce Tower really wants some too, Brad.
Brad, did you say 5 times a day? Did you say that people eat 5 times a day? Did I hear that right?
Maybe more, maybe less, depending on
wow.
what diet you're on and what fasting regime you're on.
What about you, Robert? How optimistic do you feel about the next 2 years?
Yeah, look, I think there'll be a little bit more pain before we start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. You know, the interest rate rises, whether they're done and dusted yet, it's still a little bit up in the air. But I do think, you know, North Collective and you know, plenty of organisations can really reduce the effects of that over the next 12 months simply by using data, you know, to help drive that sort of customer loyalty and customer engagement piece for their organisation and help to grow that share of wallet. I'm optimistic that probably mid to late 2024 we'll see a more normalised environment. But from now to then, it really is important that companies don't waste time and continue to build a strong first-party data strategy.
What about you, Alyssa?
I think to what Brad and Robert have already said, it's really about simplicity and how you differentiate yourself as an organisation. We do see, as I mentioned at the beginning, more conservative choices being made across the board. And whether we like it or not, in tech sales, you definitely start to see, you know, a lot of the media sentiment influencing people's business decisions as well. So, you know, it's just really, really important to kind of think about impact quickly. And like I said, simplicity and how you differentiate yourselves, because customers will consume. It's just about how much they consume and where from.
I love these. Oh, we've got Jamil back. Welcome back.
Thank you. IT decided to restart, so I had to restart.
That's all good. We're happy to have you back. I guess I'm not sure if you heard the question. The question was, how optimistic do you feel about the next 2 years, and how is Fiji Airways preparing for it?
Okay. Well, I mean, it's a bit of an interesting one. I'll probably backtrack on, you know, how are we preparing for data? So most of the airlines we met and had at this year's aviation festival in Asia and in the Americas, they all said the same thing, that they've been busy when the skies were closed. They've been busy in building their data and digital transformation. And thinking of that, you know, there are concerns about how when you think about data, there's concerns about how you actually acquire the data, how you use it, and how do you share it with your trusted partners in order to serve like your customers better. You have to focus on privacy, you know, you have to focus on transparency, honesty, compliance. Now, circling back to the award that we just mentioned, the recent accolade that Fiji Airways, you know, received at the Paris Air Show, our MD CEO had quoted that it was an unwavering commitment to quality service delivery that Fiji Airways has achieved. You know, what the Skytrax best in Australia and the Pacific. And with that, we may not have much resources as larger airlines, but we have the Fijian spirit and, you know, of hospitality and care. So how do we sort of continue with this? And so now we know that we have to know our customers better, you know, who they are, what they need, what they love, how we are treating them, you know, how can we serve them better, faster, And then only then can we achieve this true care. We can consistently, not just this year or last year, we can move ahead with this. So that's where our efforts are going to be in the next 2 to 5 years. We are going to build on the digital stack. We're going to understand our customer better. I'm pretty sure you've heard about the cookie-less future. In order, so we have to grow our first-party data. So that's what the next sort of 2 years looks like. I did also mention the demand that Fiji is seeing. So there is an increase in demand from the countries that we fly to. And all of that is very positive. So the next 2 years for us is very positive. Is us looking inside, building our stack, building our data capabilities and our digital transformation.
I love that focus in terms of authenticity, but also quality care in terms of the data. That's like shining through the Fijian spirit. I love that, Jamil. And I can imagine that you'd be very optimistic because of all of the pent up demand for travel. I'm certainly feeling it right now.
It's true.
I can talk to you all the whole day, but I'd have to ask my last question. Please share a brief bounce back strategy blueprint to our audience. If we can start with you, Brad.
I think my bounce back strategy in the short term is to book a trip to Fiji straight after this. But,
I agree.
Brilliant.
I guess one of the things I really took away is to stay true to the course. So when you sit down and pull together a good customer strategy, I mean, it's inevitably future facing. That's the definition of the strategy. No matter what is being thrown at you, really you should be sticking true to that. It's there for the right reasons. I mean, certainly the tactics that you employ in that strategy may change, may be deprioritized, may be prioritized. So you need to pivot with some of those tactics, but really the importance of the ultimate destination, not Fiji, but your kind of technical destination really doesn't change that much. Second of all, I think a lot of organizations recently have taught us that don't take shortcuts when it comes to customer data management. It's an area that, I mean, I think we've certainly started clean or remained clean in, partly due to good technology implementation. But you can see that many organizations now are scrambling to really improve how they handle customer data. And that takes a lot of effort. When you start clean, it means that your customer trust starts high and remains high throughout, and that adds a lot of benefit to the business. Finally, I mean, it shouldn't be news to anybody, but measure. So good technology like Salesforce is super powerful. It can be difficult to implement, but out there it really does help drive great value for the business. And if you're on top of your measurement around that, you can really prove out the value of what you implement through all of this. And certainly having a partner like AFD can help through all of that as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. What about you, Jamil?
This is probably more aspirational than a blueprint, but I'd say, focus on the serve, self-serve, and care again. You really invest time on your customers, to serve them better than the last time you served them. You need to retain their trust. You need to retain their loyalty. I think there's opportunities with AI and automation. It might eventually allow us to help our customers, serve them better. You could think chatbots, you could think knowledge bases, CRM, or personalization, recommendations. But we also struggle to get it really right, better user experiences, simpler user flows, user flows on desktop, but also on mobile, also on apps. We've greatly helped our customers just by simplifying the booking engine process. With Salesforce, across service, across marketing, across sales, we would look at elevating our staff productivity. We would also like to elevate the engagement, with our sort of sales partners, with our industry partners. And I think it's important to have the right partners in play as well. You can't just bring in Salesforce and open it up and it's working. You need the right partner to understand the right use cases you have, and then to build it for you. And then you measure the performance, and then the intention is to ultimately drive ROI and to drive new business. So that is my sort of aspiration, not necessarily a blueprint, but I think you can take something from that.
Thank you. Elisa?
Sure. I think without sounding like a broken record, Salesforce GPT is obviously front of mind for all of us at the moment as we talk about generative AI and automation, and just how we're using the personnel and the ecosystem that we have in organizations today. I think the most important piece of that is not about disabling human beings and our place in the economy and in life, but more around how we provide other revenue streams for organizations and really optimize existing ecosystems that you have in place, creating automation where you can, and really simplify a lot of processes that organizations can get really bogged down in. So that's really very topical for us, and really navigating that ecosystem with our customers as well, so that they don't miss out on, right time, right place, and also just really in a secure environment. One thing we haven't talked a lot about today is security, but it is still really front of mind for a lot of organizations. How do they do things better in a more simplified, automated way, but also in a secure environment? So that's where we're really looking to support a lot of organizations, moving forward into the future as well.
Thank you, Elisa. I wish we have more time to talk about AI, but we might have to do that another session. Last but not the least, Robert.
Oh, I'm just ordering some chicken from Red Rooster. Sorry, 1 second, just on my phone. Yeah, look, I think for me, it's just don't put the brakes down when it comes to your transformation journey. If we didn't keep pushing through the 2020 and 2021 lockdowns and continue on the journey through that time, we wouldn't be where we are today. So I think number one, don't put the brakes on, but understand that things will pivot, things will change. Did you hear the joke about the digital transformation journey that came in on time and under budget? Neither have I, because it doesn't exist. So you've got to be ready to be agile and pivot, but always stick true, as Brad said, to the objectives that you set out in the beginning. I think you've always got to be evolving. The organization has to continue to evolve. Your blueprint can change and shift as you go along. But I do think it comes down to having the right partners. We partnered up with Salesforce. We partnered up with AS Digital because our core values aligned. The trust and innovation and customer success, they aligned with our organization's values very much so. You're going to get in bed with these partners. So you've got to make sure that your partner understands your why. They understand why your business does what it does, why you get out of bed every morning, who your customers are. And it's critical to have that sort of right mix of internal team members, but also external specialists. And that's really what we've got and we've been fortunate to have. So I think really your blueprint has to include the right partners for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much to all of our speakers. I have enjoyed this conversation so much, and I have learned so much from you guys. Everyone, I hope aside from booking a trip, booking some shows, and eating delicious chicken, we have given you a good bounce back blueprint to redefine the customer experience in the hospitality and travel industry. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a lovely day.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.